Most of us want to do our jobs well. To do this, we seek a variety of assistance from family, friends, and coworkers based on our individual needs and preferences. This is the essence of natural supports in employment. Natural supports are not equally apparent in all potential job situations, nor will they automatically appear to meet every need. In this video, we'll illustrate the emerging role of the employment specialist or job coach as a consultant whose primary goal is to ensure that the employee will be supported by the workplace culture to which he belongs. The vital first step is the job search. The path of entry to a job can influence both the quality of the job and the receptivity of the workplace. Ron Brown developed a dream during a person-centered planning process called whole life planning. His employment specialist helped him bring this dream to reality by reconnecting him with a friend who was in a position to help out.
Ron, when I met him, expressed at a whole life planning meeting, which is just a person-centered planning, that he had an interest in working at a cable company. He had a friend who worked here at the cable company.
I knew Ron a few years ago before he started the cable industry. I was doing a wrestling show. He was one of our most favorite fans. And he came to work for Continental Cable. He's worked for us for a little over a year, I believe it is now.
I started on the payroll. 6 months I get a review. Everybody gets a review. I got a raise, and I'm still on the payroll.
Whole life planning also provided Ron Oliver's employment specialist with guidelines for helping him find the right job.
I'm providing technical assistance to the high school that Ron attends, and he'd recently had a whole life planning meeting, and at the staff meeting we talked about the various pieces of information about Ron that came out in that meeting. He is neat and orderly and wants to use his organizational skills in his job. He also wants to work with people his own age. He wanted very much to work in his own neighborhood, and where I work at UMass is in his own neighborhood, so I went through the chain of command in helping to develop a job for him at the Copy Center here.
Okay, you can let it rip.
David Neerman's job didn't exist before, but his employment specialist worked with others at his workplace to create a position which would help David become a contributing member of the team.
I learned from David's whole life planning process that he had a real interest in sports. I also learned that he attended the Boston College campus school, and he lives close by to Boston College, so I contacted the athletic director, Chet Gladchuk, and talked about David's interests and about him being an alumni of Boston College, and he thought it was a great idea, and he hooked me up with people who could work with me to identify job duties for David.
The design of a job can make it more likely that an individual will work closely with others. In David's case, job creation was used to tailor the job to his preferences and strengths to ensure opportunities for interaction.
We identified the equipment room as an area where David, there may be some possibilities for him. I walked through with the equipment room manager. We identified jobs such as folding towels, unwrapping gum for the athletes, preparing sodas for the games. But more importantly for David is his job of handing out towels and t-shirts to the athletes. He really loves that interaction with the athletes.
How's it going, Ron? Doing all right? Well, you're doing a good job, man.
An effective job design includes performing intersecting tasks with other employees. This naturally leads to teamwork. Another way to stress teamwork in job design is through the use of common places and common tools while sharing tasks with coworkers.
Thank you very much.
Arranging for cross-training, in which the employee learns about the work of others, provides an opportunity for mutual support.
Depending on how we are in the front, if there's not a lot to do, we'll help Francis, and if Fran has his work done in the back, he'll come up and help us. If we have a line out the door of customers, Fran has come to the front and waited on customers. So teamwork, we help him and he helps us.
Once in a while, trying to help them out. They're all busy. Usually there's like 2 workers up front, and sometimes we have 3. But when there's only like 2, usually it's like all the people come in and try and wait on them. So I'll probably try to help them out and wait on them.
During the process of learning the job, the changing role of the employment specialist becomes even more clear. Rather than focusing on direct job training, the employment specialist will most often support the natural role of coworkers, supervisors, and other company resources in training and orientation. The natural supports for learning the job in some companies will come directly from typical human resources training that is already in place.
Jason went into their training program, which is excellent. They gave him absolutely no special training. He took the training program that everyone else took, and he did very, very well. They put him out on the floor, and he's worked there now for 6 months, and he's very happy. He's making very good money, and they're very happy with him.
The employment specialist can also support the on-the-job training provided by coworkers and supervisors through consultation and problem solving. In Jamalia's case, her supervisor is the head teacher.
I try to explain to her on, like when she was reading a book, when someone's not listening, to let them know they need to listen to her because she's the teacher. So I try to bring that across. And even if they don't listen to her, like if she says, you need to do this, and they say no, and I tell her she needs to let them know they can't say that to her, they need to be polite. She learned that right away. As soon as we told her what needed to be done, when it needed to be done, she got that down really quickly.
Jamalia is also supported by the coworker training she receives from the teacher's assistant. Ron Oliver has learned about copy center procedures from his coworkers.
When the job was developed for Ron, we offered the potential for job coaching if they felt it was necessary, but we also wanted to work more as a consultant with the staff there. We found that they were so open and willing to work with Ron that they've been providing all the training that he needs, and we haven't needed to come in at all other than to touch in on a weekly basis to see how things are going.
Steve? In the most fully evolved form of coworker training, the coworker serves as a mentor. Ron Brown's understanding of technical terms and procedures is a direct result of the mentoring he has received from his friend Steve.
Steve McPhee went over the terms with me just about every day. Basically, when it comes down to it, they'll tell you, like, this silver thing right there, that's called the braid. The white stuff is the white paper, your coax, and the silver gold thing, when you put it in, is your center conductor, and the rest is your indoor cable.
He can do so many different things. You've got to show it to him a few times, but he can get it. Once he gets it, he's great. Just leave him alone. And he's gained a lot of respect from everybody, and it's a mutual respect.
Characteristics of job tasks are another source of natural supports. The employment specialist can highlight the natural cues available in the workplace. For instance, Ron knows how and when to respond to the information provided by the copy machine. Francis can determine when the bins need new flour or when the beverage selection is low and take appropriate action. Jason's entire workday is spent responding to the natural cues indicated by customers who need his help.
That's one reason why he was mad, right?
If job design and training are the building blocks of natural supports, the workplace culture is the glue that holds the whole process together. The employment specialist's consultative role in analyzing the unique culture of each workplace is essential in realizing the greatest potential for natural supports. Videos that demonstrate the workplace culture at Home Depot were a key part of Jason's training. The employment specialist reinforced this training to help him identify both obvious standards like dress and more subtle areas like language, which are unique to his workplace. The employment specialist can teach the employee to identify opportunities that provide reciprocal support to coworkers. This more fully involves him in the work of the team. Bagging fresh bread is a job that would take too much time away from either Fran's work or that of his coworkers, so they all pitch in to make sure it gets done.
help do the bagging breads. Usually it slows me down because there's a lot of breads to bag. So usually they do half, I do the other half, and then I'll be all set.
Lunch and break times provide an opportunity to participate in the broader aspects of workplace culture.
Socially, Ron is able now in his job to interact with people his own age. He came out of a pretty sheltered environment in his high school, in a special ed class, and I think that this opportunity has got him included in an environment that's typical for people his age. They immediately accepted him into their circle. They're teaching him how to play cards during break time. They're working with him to get him out of his shell, and they provide the typical kinds of interactions in a college-age student.
Basketball after work is an important part of the workplace culture at Continental Cable. Steve's mentoring has expanded to include him and Ron taking on all comers as a two-man team in daily basketball games. And the friendship that has grown through his work experience has expanded beyond the workplace.
Since Ron has worked here at Continental Cable, I've seen a tremendous growth in him. I knew that anyway, but when it really was brought to my attention was when we were going to have a whole life planning for Ron, and Continental Cable invited him to have it here amongst his friends. They ordered pizza, they allowed him to use the facility to host the meeting, and Ron chose to talk about work and to talk about home at that meeting.
An atmosphere that emphasizes social events and celebrations is more likely to lead to relationships beyond work. For example, Francis took Eva to the school prom and has enjoyed an ongoing social life with coworkers as a natural extension of his workplace experience.
I always have parties and brunches, and they always come over, and Frank cooks for us and comes over and hangs out. It's a big happy family. We all get along great. And it's cool because we're all from the same area, Brookline area, so I went to school with his older brother, so it's kind of like a tight little family we have.
Oh, they're awesome. They're like kind of like my sisters. Like that.
As part of the team, the employment specialist will have a continuing role as a consultant to the employee, coworkers, and supervisors with the ongoing goal of facilitating natural supports rather than directly solving problems. The result is an employee who is an integral part of the workplace culture and who has the opportunity to experience a career path along with his coworkers.
The responsibilities, they gave me a couple jobs, now I got like 10 jobs. Increase after increase.
He started in, he was very quiet, almost introvert into himself. Working with Cable and with the people around Cable, he has just matured so much over the past years. Growth has been phenomenal.
When I met Ron back a couple of years ago, he was very hesitant to express what it was he wanted out of life. I'm not quite sure he knew, but he certainly didn't believe that he could achieve it. I think Ron has done a lot of proving to himself in working here at Continental Cable. He has expressed how the more he takes on and succeeds, the more they've sent his way. And I think every time he gets one of those successes under his belt, we've seen a tremendous growth in him. He's developed some wonderful friendships based on mutual interests in wrestling or traveling with co-workers. And he's really begun to see himself as somebody who can do and can achieve.